Yesterday was a momentous day for the city of Raleigh, for Wake County, for fans of NC State and the Carolina Hurricanes. Phillip Isley is the chairman of the Centennial Authority, and he joins us on the Adam Gold Show. Before we get to what happened yesterday, because I found you on Twitter,
okay,
and I know you don't do a lot of tweeting.
No, I don't.
So for people who are interested, it is Phillip Isley 67. I'll get to the significance of the 67 if there's a story behind it. And I'm staring at this and I can't believe it because you have only one tweet and it's pinned, and it's been there for, my gosh, almost a full year. The 10th president of the United States, John Tyler, has a living grandson, not a great-grandson, not a great-great-grandson. John
Right.
Tyler was born in 1790. I'm reading this right off your Twitter. I am blown away by that. I'm sure you are, because it's still the only thing on your Twitter page. Explain yourself.
So one of his great-grandchildren was my roommate in college for 2 years.
Nice.
And I was actually at my 35th college reunion in May, and the grandson is still alive. We talked about this at length, but John Tyler's second wife, Julia, I think had 5 or 6 kids, but his first wife had 4 or 5. So I think in all he had like 11 kids. And
Right.
his last, I believe he sired in his 80s, sort of a Strom Thurmond vitality back in the day.
I'm just blown away by the use of the word sired. That whole thing is very good. All right. So I know it's not the way you expected to start this conversation, but it blew me away, and I thought people would find that at least mildly amusing. I have found it even more amusing now that we've talked about it. All right. To events of yesterday, there are a lot of mile markers in your effort to get this done and taking over the Centennial Authority, which owns and operates the old Raleigh Entertainment and Sports Arena, now PNC Arena. What does this mile marker signify? Let's just say for Raleigh first, and then I'm gonna want your personal thought on it.
Well, it finally gets us to where everyone thought we would be 25 years ago.
Right.
That once the arena was built, there would be a mixed-use development around the arena. It would be great. It would jumpstart West Raleigh development, and that never happened. So for Raleigh in particular, it really puts this area on the map with respect to the entertainment district that I know that Tom Dundon wants to create around the arena. But more importantly, especially for Raleigh, it puts in additional food and beverage opportunities, retail opportunities, probably 2 hotels, and then most importantly, the residential component has an AMI of 80% for a percentage of all the housing that goes up there for the next 20 years. Actually, it's probably longer than that. But that was a big deal to the city council to get our approval last year. And the term sheet had some wiggle room in there with commercially reasonable efforts. And we were able to negotiate a guarantee in these documents that it's going to happen. So there will be, I think it's 10% of the units constructed will have at a 80% AMI workforce housing, which for a family of 4 in Wake County now is in the $90,000 range.
Nice. Phillip Isley, chairman of the Centennial Authority, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. I mean, I have a lot of questions just off that, but let me just get to one. Why did it not happen? Why was there no progress made? Was there not enough of a commitment on the part of the city, on the part of the 2 tenants, for basically the 2 tenants at PNC Arena, are NC State and the Carolina Hurricanes? Was the former ownership against the outlay of money? I mean, we know Peter Carmanos was not, wealthy like we think other professional franchise owners are wealthy. So why hadn't any progress been made on that before?
Well, the documents initially allowed the owner of the Hurricanes to have these development rights. And so that was Carmanos.
Right.
So, and the city really had very little to do with that because
Okay.
it's in the city limits. They would have some zoning authority and things of that nature, but this was effectively, even though there's a bunch of asphalt around there, this is a greenfield development with all the infrastructure in place. So it's ideally situated for development. Carminos really just didn't want to do it. And I was on the city council from '01 to '09, and we had a couple of ideas that went out there, but this never really had anybody that wanted to do it, and nor did Carminos want to assign these rights to any developer in town. Things were also different early on, just between ownership of the Hurricanes, sort of the NC State dynamic. People were still trying to figure out where their lanes were, what would be good out there. But, for a variety of reasons, it just didn't happen, sadly. And that area in Raleigh has languished until very recently. And I do think this is going to jumpstart the early stages of development that are ongoing right now. This really is going to get these going on steroids, I believe.
I can't say that in connection to professional sports. Phillip Isley, chairman of the Centennial Authority, is joining us here on the Adam Gold Show. So I drive from my home in Oxford basically straight down Edwards Mill Road. When I go home, when I leave the arena after a hockey game, I make a right on Edwards Mill, and then I turn into my driveway. I won't say, how long I drive north is immaterial, but I am familiar with that stretch of road as we get closer to the arena. And essentially, it's always been basically nothing. Now, we do have broadband on the right? Once you pass like Raleigh, or I think it's Raleigh Ortho or something, when you cross over Blue Ridge and Durley, there's really nothing except that new office building on the right-hand side. Other than that, it's basically wide open space. So, yeah, that part of the city definitely has been, I don't know if neglected is the right word, but it certainly has not been, the value has not been maximized. So if you could give us an idea of how far north along Edwards Mill we expect to start seeing things over the next 4 or 5 years.
Well, what I hope, and Steve Troxler, Commissioner Troxler, Secretary of Agriculture, really deserves a lot of credit for helping me coalesce in my mind the value of this area when he sold the land to Bandwidth that allowed him to finish his training and standards brand new building.
Right.
He was able to put I think it was $1 million bridge to a new gravel lot for the state fairgrounds that really increased parking capability. The state shedding land that they own does not happen a lot. It's not normal. State agencies like their property. But in today's world, when the value of property is so high in Raleigh, and there's so many needs for state buildings and state agencies, people or agencies that possess land and can get a fair market value for their acreage is really impacting the taxpayer of North Carolina in a very positive manner. It also benefits Raleigh and Wake, obviously. But you have all that land between Bandwidth and the basically Wade Avenue.
Right.
I wonder what could go there if a sports and entertainment district were to get a little brother called a baseball team. There is.
I joked about it yesterday. Yeah.
There is, and look, there are plenty of great spots in Raleigh where we could host a baseball team, or Cary. Fenton, downtown South. There's lots of places, but I know in conversations with folks that whether it's baseball or not, the state really does want to look at other options it has for that sort of property. There's a large capital need for improving the fairgrounds too, and so the sale of real property that's adjacent to the fairgrounds can go into rehabbing some of their buildings and facilities. But ultimately, I think what you're going to see there is either a combination of an extension of an office park for corporate entities, or some type of new entertainment aspect to this, whether it's baseball or something else that we don't even know about right now.
Phillip Isley, baseball, soccer, right? We had, wasn't that long ago, we were talking about plans for a soccer facility down like in the Peachtree area by the government buildings, right? Wasn't that long ago we were talking about that. Let me get to a couple of other things here because I want you to kind of walk me through your journey here, and I know you got emotional yesterday. And I'm not trying to make you emotional here, but when you started this process to where you are today, which I'm sure is quite more relaxed than maybe you've been over the last couple of years. Walk me through how you navigated all of this.
I've told a lot of people that I got lied to when I was asked to consider being the chairman, and either I wasn't paying attention when I was on the authority or not. But I didn't really fully appreciate that we had to get these deals done in a short period of time after I was elected to be chairman. And I mean, the spigot turned on full force within 12 hours of my election in December. And I think I've said this the last time I talked to you that, Redundant calls me. I don't know who it is. And I, really didn't take his call that day. So from that point forward till yesterday, we've been navigating numerous governmental agencies at the state level, at the city and the county level, not to mention the General Assembly, all of the things you have to do, just that, including talking to the tenants of NC State and Tom Dundon. And it's been a juggling act of, from my standpoint, I've been amazed is not the right word, but surprised that things were happening so rapidly and also in a positive direction as we started having these conversations. And so, we went about a year and a half to get to last year's historic signing of the 4-page term sheets for development and arena enhancement. And that was a nice, okay, great. And little did I know that was the easy part.
Right.
We still had to get authority from the city and the county and the interlocal fund to get our $300 million for the enhancement. We then had to get, once that was signed in May, we began in earnest to really get going on the documents themselves for the lease extension for the arena redevelopment. And in the middle of all this, Don Waddell leaves. So it has been a journey, to say the least. And, I almost got emotional yesterday. It was weird. Adam, you know this. I sent you an email last year from my old basketball coach.
Yeah.
He said really nice things about me. And I read that for some reason yesterday morning. He actually died on Father's Day.
Oh,
and
no.
So he did. But reading that email yesterday morning, something just, I don't know why I did it, but the things that he said and the things we just accomplished it sort of moved me. And I'm still amazed that I'm the guy who's been, driving the car, because I just can't imagine anyone telling me 5 years ago that I would be involved in this, right, that I would have, this ability to sort of bring all these disparate and divergent parties together where every single person is holding hands right now. And that's really cool. And that's honestly, you're the first person I've told this to. That's sort of, it hit me in a weird way yesterday, but also makes me really proud and feel very fortunate and lucky that I was able to be part of this historic opportunity for our city and our county and our state and our region. And I really haven't appreciated that until yesterday. And I've gotten so many nice text messages. I haven't even showed my wife them because it sounds like I'm bragging or I'm a narcissist or something, but it's really meaningful. And the News and Observer gave me a nice accolade in January. I got the Order of the Longleaf Pine from Governor Cooper 2 weeks ago. So for all the stress that it has been heaped upon me, the fact that I don't get a dime for doing this job, it's been worth it. And I know we still have a ton of work to do, but I really am excited and happy that we've come here. And I'm very, very energetic of what's yet to come. I hope I'm on the board, for a little while longer. Not sure I want to be the main guy after we start getting things built, or we're looking at new arenas in 2039.
Aha.
But I do hope I get to see the fruit of all of the labor from not just me, but my board and the owner and NC State, who have been great, really great to work with.
Phillip Isley is here, chairman of the Centennial Authority, at least for now. Let me just clear a couple of things out, and I'm going to ask you one more question, and I'll let you go. One, I have also, at times, ignored calls from Tom Dundon. So he calls me mostly about hockey matters, and if I don't feel like I've got time, because when you're on the phone with Tom, Sometimes it can go 40 minutes. Why, I don't know. But it does. And if I don't think I have that time, I'll just let it go to voice. He doesn't even leave a voicemail. You just have to get back to him at some point. Earlier I said broadband, it's bandwidth. I don't know why I get those two things mixed up, except that it's me. And Roy Cooper's a huge Hurricanes fan, so I would imagine that anything that benefits the Carolina Hurricanes, he's going to be all about. Let me ask you a very quick question. The $300 million that has been, I guess, unlocked. That's not new monies. That's monies that's been sitting there waiting to be used, correct?
Yeah, I mean, it's part of the interlocal agreement. Right. It's the hotel, food, and beverage. We have to go through a process at the local government commission to be able to let bonds to pay for all this, but that's going to happen this fall. The importance of getting these documents signed by Sunday, the 30th, was so got our ducks in a row. We can go to the LGC when we need to get that approved, and then hit the ground running in 2025. Both enhancement inside the arena as well as outside the arena with shovels in the asphalt, building cool things in the years to come. All
right, and stuff I read yesterday, arena enhancements won't begin probably until after next season. If I read that correctly, my reading comprehension's not always outstanding. But something you referenced, and I brought this up yesterday, because you and I don't know if you remember this, but I do. I've never forgotten it. I've referenced it, I don't know how many times, probably 50. This is a long time ago, back in a different building, when you were just a member of the city council. You had mentioned to me that this is maybe the arena had been open only about 8 or 9 years, that you guys had already had discussions, not plans or anything, but discussions about, at that point, a downtown arena for whether it was NC State or the Hurricanes or whatever. So you referenced it here, 2039. When does something like that begin, where, now it's time for a new home for the Carolina Hurricanes and the new NBA team that will be here? I'm just obviously kidding here, but whatever. When do those discussions start?
So by contract, what we have agreed to sign as of yesterday, we're going to look at the shape of the building in 2039. We'll have an assessment prior to that milestone. What does the building look like? What are its needs? Should we stay here, or should we go and look at the building a new one? We have intentionally left, if you look at the parking lot of the arena from sort of a drone shot,
right?
If the thing gets built out the way they're at least looking at it right now over those 15, 20 years, I would say if you're looking at it from a clock standpoint, from 12 to 3, there's still surface parking lot, untouched.
Okay.
That'd be a pretty swell location to start your brand new arena right there, have it being built while you're still playing in the old arena. And then once the new one is completed, you knock down the current PNC, and then you fill in with the last piece of development right there, where everything has been developed around it thus far. And so whether that's a good idea or a bad idea, again, I'm probably not going to be the guy making that decision, but we have thought strategically on how that would look when we have to have this conversation. And in all candor, Tom Dundon has the right. If we say we're not doing anything to the building, he can exercise an option to take the team somewhere else.
Yes, he can.
So he has that option. And I think that's fair to him, and it's fair to us as a community. I know what that interlocal fund looks like. I know how much money is coming in there. We should be able to bank enough money throughout these next 15 to 20 years that if that becomes a necessity to keep the team, we're at least in a position to have assets and the ability to do something that would also last another 20 to 40 to 50 years. We've been really fortunate that our building is going to be this sort of used this long and still in this good a shape with this enhancement. We're very proud of that. And I think if you go around and ask anybody in the league or other colleges, despite the age of this building, it's still a great building, and it's going to be even better.
Phillip Isley, chairman of the Centennial Authority. We'll talk about other things another time. I hope you stay on the committee for as long as I get to talk to you. So I appreciate your time, sir. Congratulations, and best to John Tyler's living grandson.
You're the man, Adam. Take care, man.